he ain't wrong. If you see people running around outside with tinfoil hats
in a thunderstorm,
odds are pretty good. Those are all males.
Yeah, there is that.
At least an 80% chance.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Good morning. It is 7:36, and joining us in studio this morning, Mayor Dennis Kintigh back with us. Good morning, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm not sure good is the right adjective.
Well,
it is morning.
Morning to you, sir.
Yeah. Oh, my
for those that aren't aware, last night City Council met with it's their normal November City Council meeting. It was just a week later than scheduled normal because of the Veterans Day holiday.
Correct.
But big meeting as far as what was on the agenda last night, and sounds like they got some more work to do on that one here.
Yeah.
Last night the City Council met and one of the primary things on the agenda last night was getting basically this whole districting or redistricting done for our districts and our zones and all that, as far as our wards, and making sure those are set up. And it sounds like there's some disagreements on how that should be done, and so they didn't get much done last night.
Yes, that's correct. I use the term train wreck kind of describe this. To put it a little bit in perspective, we had a pretty full agenda. We had a total of 29 things now. 6 of them were on our consent. What's consent? Consent is that those are things that there's no disagreement about.
Housekeeping type stuff.
Yeah, that kind of things. Like the minutes.
Yeah. Now, if anybody sees it and says, no, I got a problem with that, they can pull it off, no problem. But these are kind of things everyone agrees, and they can, in theory, speeds up the process so you're not spending time on minutia that everyone's going to pass anyway.
That's right. So we started off with a rather fascinating, and I'd go back and look at the video from Abraham Chaparro on our whole solid waste department. And this is like, these guys are like incredibly high tech. It's amazing. I mean, that GPS, they got, they can actually tell how the compacting is going.
Wow.
So when they do the drive around on the landfill, it's, okay, we need to be here to get more compaction and not over here. And measuring how much, because they cover it with dirt every night. And so you want your minimal amount to keep stuff from blowing away.
Gotcha. And I've also imagined, they got to pack it a certain way not to create sinkholes and stuff in the future. You know what I mean?
And so they do this. Now, in addition, the routes, now those routes are all computerized. They had been basically driver memory.
Okay.
Now we
follow the tracks.
Yeah. Now they've got it all computerized. They got input from the drivers. They are identifying now some locations. The decision has been made to move away from the 300-gallon communal dumpster in the alley to the 96-gallon in the front. And that's really been driven by safety issues. Okay. We have some of these alleys are not real wide, and you have to drive down and back out. Rather than pursue that, we have some accidents every once in a while. Not that the drivers are not careful, but it's just hard to do.
Sometimes you're trying to get a square peg in a round hole, and
so we
bump into things.
So they've actually done some serious analysis. They've got those routes computerized now too, and mapped out with input from the drivers as well as the computer optimization.
Okay.
This stuff is fascinating.
Interesting.
So it was a really, really useful and valuable, about 20 minutes we spent on this. And then the wheels came off. So here we are. What are we talking about?
Yes.
We're talking about redistricting. So what does this mean? Well, our districts or our wards are defined in a city ordinance. Mm-hmm. City ordinance says Ward 1 is precincts blah, 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 blah. Ward 2 is precincts A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that kind of thing. And then there's a map as well. So ordinances require 6 affirmative votes to pass. Counselor Savino Sanchez was not feeling well and did not participate last night. So we were down to 9.
So you had 9 of 10 there. Okay.
9.
So you still need 6.
Still need 6.
So you needed all but 3 to vote yay on stuff to happen, basically.
Now, that's only on the final vote on the ordinance. Other things, it's the majority of those present. So what happens is we had a public hearing. We asked for input. Nobody came forward to speak, by the way. And then we had a motion by Counselor Foster to implement Plan G. Well, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when we advertised for this ordinance, what we put in was the existing ward definitions, which are not valid anymore. They no longer comply with state statute. But it was the starting point. So that's what we have. Now, what Foster did is move to substitute or amend with Plan G.
Okay.
What is G? G was the one that was produced from the workshop we had Monday.
Okay.
Where we had, I think, 7 of our counselors present and extensive interaction.
Okay.
Then Counselor Oropesa the next day decided that he was not happy.
Okay.
And began working on what became Plan H, which is, so we ended up with 2 plans out there last night.
Okay.
G and H.
And that's what they're boiling down to, is these two. A through F or whatever's out the window. G and H are the two they're kind of mulling over.
Well, we could, if somebody moved to do A,
okay,
they could still be voted on.
Gotcha. But in theory, they're really the contention between these two right now. Is that kind of fair to say?
I would probably say that.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So we get on to G, and we start the debate, and it gets pretty interesting, to say the least. Some individuals felt that they did not have an opportunity to truly participate on Monday night, and it wasn't really inclusive.
Okay.
That honestly surprised me, because I never saw anything that would prevent any counselor from engaging the demographer, Mr. Rod Adair, or any other counselor.
Okay.
However, that was a position last night. There was also a position by one counselor that what was finished on Monday night is not what we had in front of us, that someone had tweaked it. I do not have any information of any changes. My understanding is G is exactly what we had when we left Monday night.
Okay.
But those were the comments that were made.
All right.
Counselor Perry had been gone for a couple trips relating to his role as a pastor, so was not able to attend either workshop. He was concerned about being able to explore this more thoroughly. We had, like I say, long discussions. We spent 2 hours on this. At one point, I took a break.
Maybe clear the heads a little bit. And,
try and get us some resolution. We had a motion to postpone action until Monday.
Okay.
Then we had a motion to amend that to a week from Monday. That would be the 29th.
Okay. So we're getting close to December timeframe here.
The motion to amend that to delay till the 29th failed.
Okay.
The motion to postpone to Monday failed.
Okay. So what's that mean?
So then we have the vote to substitute G. Now, this is the move to substitute it. It's not final approval.
Okay.
That passed 5-4.
Okay.
The vote on the final ordinance was also 5-4. However,
you need 6.
Need 6.
Gotcha.
So it failed.
Okay.
So at this point, we do not have a valid ordinance.
Okay.
Now, under our rules of procedure, you cannot reconsider a matter that has failed within 6 months unless 5 counselors send an email to the city clerk requesting the matter to be reheard.
Okay.
Including at least one who was on the prevailing side.
All right.
So that would mean one of the 4.
And you need half the city council, basically, to agree to this.
I don't know if we're going to get that.
Okay.
And I'm
so
going
if we don't, what happens then?
That's going to be the subject of my discussions with the city manager and the city attorney this morning.
You and I were talking about this, and it sounded like the end result, Santa Fe would come in and take care of it, and we all agree no one wants that to happen. I mean, is that the road we're going down, you think?
My theory is that we could petition the district court to take it over rather than the Secretary of State, but I don't know. I am not an attorney, and I did not sleep at a Holiday Inn Express last night. So we're at a basically a point where we cannot move forward. Those that were opposed to Plan G were Councilors Oropesa, Stubbs, Moore, Angela Moore, and Jason Perry.
Okay.
So unless one of them changes their mind, or if Councilor Savino Sanchez were to appear, then if Councilor Sanchez had been there last night, we would have had resolution one way or the other.
He could have been the 6 vote or one way or another on ones.
Yes.
Oh, gotcha.
And that that really threw us for a loop. To say that this is a distressing situation is putting it mildly. This is something we have to get done.
Sure.
I'm fearful of this, the arbitrary and dictatorial nature of this Secretary of State. We, as a city of Roswell, have not, we're a little bit pushed back against Santa Fe here. Go
Sure.
figure. We don't do the mask mandates. We're not forcing people to be vaccinated. As long as I'm mayor, we will not require any city employee to be vaccinated. I've gotten them vaccinated, and I encourage that. But we are not Santa Fe, and I'm not going to go around telling people how to live.
Right.
Santa Fe wants to control all of this. They wanted to push everybody, all municipalities, into that November election in an odd number year.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened with some of our smaller communities here in Chaves County. Roswell was one of about a third of the municipalities in the state that has chosen to not bow down to Santa Fe, and we have retained our own independent election cycle, which is in the first Tuesday in March. This coming year is March 1st. Mm-hmm. I fear that this redistricting may give the Secretary of State in Santa Fe
a foot in the door
to try and control us even more. Maybe I'm wrong there, and
I am kind of nervous about that. I mean, that's the last thing we want, because nothing good comes from that. It just doesn't.
The progressives who run Santa Fe want to basically run this whole state, and I'll be honest with you, I am not going to go down that road. I'm not interested in cutting deals with them. I'm not interested in capitulating to them. I'm interested in fighting the progressives in Santa Fe for as long as I'm in this role with the city of Roswell.
So let me ask this. I mean, just talking as plain spoken as we can here. I mean, is there enough difference in the GNF where, I mean, because are they just fundamental differences in these two that people don't want? Or is this just, I don't like one thing in this one, that's why I throw it? I mean, how far apart are we on?
Significant.
Okay. That's the part I'm like, are we to a point where we can at least, all right, let's get something to keep us from having Santa Fe come and telling us how to do it, and nobody's going to probably like the result there. So
I agree. No one will. But the difference is what Councilor Oropesa created is radically different from G.
Okay.
What's mildly amusing, not that there's much amusing in all this, is that if you remember, we had plans A, B, and C created by New Mexico Demographics. On my initiative, I asked for some variations that were D and E. Mm-hmm. Nobody seemed to like those. I shouldn't say that. Didn't seem to have any real traction.
Gotcha.
Councilor Oropesa, on his own initiative, created what became Plan F as in Frank.
Okay.
Plan F as in Frank had some serious flaws in it. But that became the starting point for what ultimately became G Monday night. We took that, and that became G.
Gotcha.
Tweaking a few things. Plan H also supposedly came from F, but took an entirely different route and created a district. For example, Ward 3 in Plan H goes from the water sewer treatment plant to the far side of Enchanted Hills.
Oh, wow. It's pretty stretched out.
And here's the thing. The state statute calls for these wards to be compact.
Okay. So it goes against that requirement.
I would argue it does. Now, could it technically be considered appropriate? I don't know. But I believe Plan G as in George is significantly more compact. Part of our problem is this, is that the precincts that are defined by the county commission are bigger building blocks in the sense that it's hard to construct these wards. In other words, if the grains of sand were finer, so to speak, it would be easier to come up with more contoured wards. Mm-hmm. But these are pretty solid. I mean, we've got Precinct 41 on the east side of town has almost all of it outside the city limits. But where it touches the city, there's little pieces. And so they're not interconnected except for they're all in 41. And I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this, but it's a little clustery. Yeah. So let me just quickly say that after after 2 hours on this thing, we had, if you count the consent agenda and the item that was pulled because some folks weren't available, which was not a big issue. We had accomplished 11 out of 29 in 2 hours. That left us 18 agenda items. And that's when I put the afterburner on. Because there's nothing to be gained from us sticking around.
Right.
So I'm like on this, and we put it in warp factor 5, Mr. Sulu.
Nice.
And we got through the next 18 in an hour.
Wow.
Yep. We did a lot of housekeeping stuff. We're updating and correcting the trash. Kind of interesting. We talked about landfill. The trash franchises. Now, just quickly, we have under state statute, we have exclusive authority over trash collection in the city. The city has it. But we can allow franchises for commercial purposes.
Gotcha.
Not for residential.
Gotcha. It's going to be the city picking up your house, but yeah, the commercial, because let's face it, the private companies probably have equipment better suited to handle commercial trash removal than the city probably does.
Or you can fine tune the collection to what you want. In other words, say you have a construction site. You want to have this trash picked up. Say you have a business that needs extra collection on Mondays after your weekend versus all right, so
Tuesday or Thursday or whatever your days of the week are. Yeah.
So we have these franchise agreements, many of which were expired or had never been established. Then we also have to have ordinances. So anyway, we had 4 of those: Waste Management, Whitcamp Disposal, Southwest Disposal, and Desert West Enterprises. These all have to be ordinances. So we ripped through these. All we did was authorize to advertise for the future public hearing, which will be December 9th.
Okay.
So we got that big chunk there. We got RFP for fire apparatus maintenance and repair. We got a change order on a roof repair. We've got agreements and lease with the Boys and Girls Club. A new service agreement with the Economic Development Corporation. We're going out with an RFP for a new. This is kind of funny. We have a new supervisor. She's brand new. She supposedly was nervous about appearing before the city council. Anyway, it's an RFP to do utility statement processing and mailing. In other words, we don't do the printing and the folding and the stamps for your water bill.
Right.
Okay, we contract that out.
We have people that do that.
Right. So what we're doing now is I'm looking to see if we can get a better deal.
Sure. Hey, shopping around, saying, hey, because
we've been doing the same company for a while, so we're shopping around, and we have to do that.
Sure.
So this was Ms. Treadwell came up there. She was so sweet. Hey, we're done. Yeah. So these are all 7-0 votes. Now, Councilors Roebuck and Kennard dropped off. Councilor Kennard had been on go-to meeting, as had Councilor Lopez. Councilor Lopez has a new baby, as does Councilor.
I'm about to say, yeah, they're both got their hands full.
They're not the same. They have Lopez and his wife have, and Kennard and her husband have. So I don't know, something in the water. I've noticed that the others, 3 female counselors, aren't drinking the city water anymore.
That might be another meeting for another day.
Yeah, it's like, what the heck is going on here? But anyway.
But they had higher priorities.
They had higher priorities.
Yeah, right. Gotcha. I hear you.
And then some other housekeeping things, buying a mower, buying some new, smaller transit buses. We did a lot of housekeeping work that needs to be approved.
Sure.
That exceeds the authority of the staff. The city council has to be the entity that approves these things. And these had all gone through committees before, so there wasn't a need for a lot of discussion. A couple times there were questions asked here and there. One of the things we worked on was additional changes to the marijuana stuff. And once again, this was just an authorization to advertise. Councilor Moore has taken a principled position. She's opposed to all of this marijuana stuff. She understands that the state's forcing it on us, but she will. So she voted no on the authorization to advertise, but it was a majority does pass it. So
she's sticking to her principles.
She's sticking to her principles.
And that's what she has a right to do. Absolutely.
That's right. And
as
so that would have that was done, but we're going to be spending most of the day today trying to untangle the mess that has become redistricting for the city wards.
I hope city council can get that one together. I mean, whatever they decide, I want it to come from our city council, not from Santa Fe. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I want, whatever the decision, whatever direction they go in, I want it to come from us. I don't want it to come from Santa Fe. So,
agreed.
Please, I'm begging. I'm sure the community's begging. Let's get our city councilors together and let's get this thing worked out. Because,
let's do it.
Well, you looked. I just saw yesterday Grisham's wanting to make third vaccine the term for vaccinated in New Mexico. I don't want to bring any more of that into this community if I don't have to.
Now, the governor and her cronies are driving us into the ditch, and I don't mean to get real political here, but that's kind of the frustration that we're experiencing here. So this is a community that is full of independent thinkers and independent expressors, which kind of shows up in the city council meetings. That could be a good thing, and that could be a not so good thing.
Well,
but it is. I mean, we have 10 city councilors. It's the largest city council in the state. It is diverse in every sense.
Sure.
Politically, ethnically, gender-wise, we only have 2.
Culturally, everything.
Culturally.
Yeah.
But so I feel this community is extremely well represented by this group. The challenge becomes when you have differences, profound differences, and the needs in some cases to meet a certain threshold in ordinances and resolutions both require a majority of the governing body independent of who is there or how many are there.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, folks, if you have any questions, of course, if you want to go back and watch the meetings, you can go to meeting or the city's website has them archived. I think it goes to a YouTube channel or something. I don't know, but you click the link and it takes you where you need to go to watch the movie, the meeting. And then, of course, if you have questions, especially if you want to know more, you have 2 representatives on the city council.
And you got a mayor.
But
feel free to reach out.
Yeah, shoot emails, call City Hall, shoot emails, tell them your opinions on this stuff. And if nothing else, tell them that we want the decision to come from us, not from Santa Fe. So please work together to get this done.
Yep.
Whatever you got to do it, let's do this. So
I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We'll have a awesome. If I don't see you before Thanksgiving, have a great Thanksgiving.
Yes,
imagine I will
do the
see you.
same.
But lots of turkey, lots of great stuff, and have an awesome holiday. And
we
we'll
will have
soon.
turkey. I don't care what the hell Sean says.
Sean needs some counseling, I think.
In a lot of ways.
I would not argue. Man, don't want you turkey on Thanksgiving. What kind of craziness is that?
Communist.
That's right. That's how it starts.
That's how it starts, exactly. Next thing you know, they're going to take Christ out of Christmas.
That's right. So, no any turkey you want to eat, just sides? Okay. Thank you. Very appreciate you. All right.